Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today I thought I would go through some of the criticisms that were leveled at me over the last few days, mainly yesterday due to a War Thunder Reddit post. And a lot of people aired a lot of grievances, and I think the best thing to do is to go through a lot of them and to basically either give my side or give why I believe certain things or why not. So this video is going to be a long one. It's going to go through a lot of ideas. It's going to go through a lot of thoughts. So if you're not interested in that and you just want to mischaracterize me, just go ahead already. Anyway, I am not going to use usernames or anything like that here. I'm just going to stick to the ideas apart from right now. There are two individuals I would like to talk about because they are three actually. They are reoccurring people when it comes to spreading certain information. So therefore, the first one is Reaper the Aviator, an individual who was banned from War Thunder last month or 2 months ago for using third-party software to do better in War Thunder, therefore cheating in the game. It is interesting to see that one of the highest criticisms was from the individual over the years, and to see him get banned in War Thunder is just, well, kind of funny in a way. The next one is Physic. So Physic believes to have been wronged as an individual, and this is how the story always goes. So Physic, who is a individual who has done some data mining in the past, he also has a lot of ideas about the game. He also likes to discuss it. You know, he's part of the community, which is great. You know, the whole debate and discussion side. The issue is there was 2 videos that I made in January, which was looking at some data mined content. Now, the interesting thing is, Iron has believed since January that I used his data mined content. I didn't. I used someone else's. And for some reason, since then, he has believed that I have not properly credited him. The reason why I haven't properly credited you is because I never used your content. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, I would have actually, gone through and made sure to credit you. Every time you can ask people who have come to me with information in the past, whether it be stuff from the asset viewer or the dev server. You can ask anybody that I've had in contact with when creating user missions or locations. I always ask them if they want to be accredited. I always ask them, even when it comes to giveaways on the Tech Hub, do you as an individual want to be credited for this? And some of them say yes, others say no, because they don't want to know where the information came from. They don't want to see it as, being leaked or something like that. So I've never had this issue with any other individual apart from Physic. And the reason for this is because, unfortunately, he's got the wrong end of the stick on the issue. Now, the issue that I personally have with this is because of this preconceived issue that he's had, he decided to be malicious. And this is why I think it's important to bring this up, because as I said, it's a recurring criticism of mine. And it shows how criticisms can turn into outright maliciousness from people if left unchecked, which is why, for me, this type of video needs to be done. So, Physics said this on a private, well, it's not really a private Discord server, since, well, I have access to it and a lot of other people have access to it, and it's basically a place where a lot of the War Thunder Live guys hang out and a lot of other stuff. A lot of people who are into either the data mining community or into model making, all that stuff. And he said, want to know something funny, Mike? I used to be stupid enough to try and give him actual correct info on things he wants to make content on. He does not care about being correct. All he wants to do is spam videos. This isn't true. There have been stuff in the past that I have been incorrect on. The two major things, the two major regrets for me as a content creator The two major things that I talked about, which I should have either rephrased or just not talked about. The first one is the LG33 and getting wrong what the L stood for. I believed it stood for light, and it didn't stand for light. And that was just me misinterpreting something. So yes, I was wrong. And then the other one was making a video talking about modern day jets and how they didn't have any guns on them. And this is obviously just, well, if from from base values, it's wrong. You know, it's as simple as that. The majority of modern jets still have guns. The primary weapons are not those guns, though. They are the secondary ordnance of what we would, you know, call it in War Thunder, you know, the air-to-air stuff, the seed missiles, all of these things. So I should have phrased it as, you know, the guns are no longer the primary weaponry, but instead I phrased it as they don't have guns, they only have, you know, hard points and such. So I was wrong about that. And yeah, it's as simple as that. But when it comes to spreading misinformation, I try my best not to do that. I hope my credibility stands up and shows that I don't do that. And this is where it comes in. So people can have this opinion. It makes sense, especially with the amount of content that I make. This is the problem. So he says, I'm going to plant a little trap for tech. I'm going to post the abandoned car on his Discord server. And he pings me. And as it says, abandoned car asset that is new. Now, this was to do with the April Fool's stuff. When I made the video, basically looking through all the April Fool's things, working out the, you know, working out the whole thing, or whatever you want to call it. And the problem is, as you can see, Iron Physic tried to spread misinformation. He tried to show me old models, which have been in the files for, you know, a few months at this point, I believe the update before April Fool's, and tried to get me to run with it in a video to spread misinformation to the community. So a person who here has said that I don't care about being correct and all I want to do is spam videos, surely, if that was the case, I would have taken the bait and made the videos. But no, that's not the fact. That video never made, because I also know how to data mine. I also know how to work out when files were added to specific folders. It's not too hard to do. You know, Mike Tendy even made a post about it, you know, a while back. So he, Iron, in his infinite wisdom, believed that two wrongs making a right was a great idea. And this is why I have no interest in this person anymore. And this will be the last that I say about this topic and many others in this video. So thank you for that. The last person is Mike Tendy. Mike Tendy I have a lot of praise for. I think the work that he does for the community when it comes to the data mining aspect is incredibly positive for it. I like the fact that he's always open and honest about a lot of the opinions that he has when he comes to the game, and also he is never afraid of setting people right when they say specific things. Now, in a video, an April Fool's video, the first one I did, I said that I believed that Mike Tendy was a plant. Now, I thought this would be taken as a joke, since I said it as a joke. And the reason for it is since it was an April Fool's video, and we were cogitating about what everything meant, I thought it would be, you know, a nice little spicy thing on the top. What if the double agent is actually a triple agent? You know, all of these things. So, obviously, Mike didn't take it like this. Mike thought I was being serious, that he was a gaijin plant. And so on the Discord, I said, stop acting like a cactus. I also said, it looks like this joke didn't settle. Maybe I'll try minerals next time. You know, so for me, I wasn't being serious. I don't think you are a plant from gaijin. I think you're just a dude who data mines stuff and enjoys it and enjoys the community reaction. Or interaction, I should say. So I apologize if you took offense to my joke, but it wasn't meant to be serious. It was meant to be a joke. Anyway, let's get to some of the other criticisms that were from the War Thunder Reddit thread. Something to also point out, there was some stuff that was said in there, not actually about me, but some other content creators. So there was an individual who talked about how he wanted many miles away to die alone in a ditch. This is horrific. This should not be tolerated in any community, and it was nice to see people calling the individual out, saying, how can you believe this because you disagree with somebody's opinions on a War Thunder game, and the guy was deadly serious. Now, I just want to say, that's ridiculous. Like, if you have that mindset, it is time to get yourself checked. It is time to try and maybe absolve yourself from this. If you believe that it is right for an individual to die because of opinions on a video game, you might be a little bit too far gone. Just step away from the screen, go outside, read a book. Simple as that. There was also some other stuff said about other content creators. And overall, my general opinion on pretty much everything when it comes to that is more content creators equals good. More people creating content, more people putting out discussion points, more people putting out their opinions on the game is overall positive. There seems to be some idea that there is a lot of gatekeeping going on. That is just not the case. I've said many times, and I definitely believe it, it is important that we get more people talking about the game and discussing it, even with each other, in these forms. If you don't want to make, videos, or if you don't want to do streams or anything like that, it's still good that you interact on Discords. It's still good that you interact on forums and stuff. It's good to socialize and discuss things that you enjoy. So more the merrier, as I've always said. So the first major criticism that comes up every time, videos are too long. Empty space talking about nothing. A lot of this is unfortunately subjective. When I was taught to teach, and this was, maybe 3 or 4 years ago at this point, so I might be a little bit rusty, maybe even 5 years ago. A lot of the ideas around even teaching sciences, which is, what I'm trained in, is about explaining the whole topic. So if somebody runs into an issue that they're not sure about, they at least have a decent grasp of the general foundation of the topic, so therefore they can push on and understand what's going on. Like, imagine if you were learning calculus, but instead of starting at calculus 1, you started at calculus 3. Now, you would be completely confused and you'd have no idea what's going on. So sometimes it's much better if you are taking Calculus 3 to do a course which refreshes you in Calculus 1 and 2 before you go into the 3 content, so you understand what's going on. Now, obviously, for people who play the game a lot in War Thunder, if we use War Thunder as that analogy, let's say we're talking about specific vehicles BR being changed. If we don't go into the historical context of the vehicle and what it faced, and we just talk about the BR change itself, people are going to be like, oh, okay. Veteran players, they're going to be like, okay, well, that makes sense because it used to be like this, it used to be like this. What about a person who's just started the game and they don't really know a lot about it? You have to go into, at least in my opinion, the way I approach it, you have to go into every video believing that the people who are watching the video, this is their first time seeing a video from you. Now, the reason why this is the case is because not everybody watches every single video. You'll see that going through the videos here, there'll be a massive difference in views. And that is just, people watching the videos. So you have to approach every video as if it is a different audience that you're talking to and a different set of people. So therefore, I believe that from that stance, there is always a lot of information to talk about when it comes to any video. On top of this as well, I generally like longer forms of content. I like listening to audiobooks. I like listening to podcasts. Some of the things that I've been recently listening to are cricket podcasts, talking about the game a lot, talking about, different ways of batting from some of the greats in the world. The Rob Key podcast on Sky Sports is really good. And then, the Joe Rogan podcasts with some of the guests that they have, especially some of the strongmen, is absolutely fascinating. Then you have stuff like the Rooster Teeth podcast, right? All of these things are long forms of content that I personally enjoy. So from my point of view, I like creating stuff that I enjoy. I enjoy discussing things. I enjoy long forms of content. I enjoy the idea of trying to get everything on the table first before another person is able to pick you apart. So that's why a lot of the videos are long. On top of this as well, a lot of my older videos you'll actually see I've cut down. So this is a video from 2014, and a lot of my reviews would be this hour long, because I would do an arcade portion, I would do a realistic portion, I would do a general performance test area, I would do a general history area, and then I would do a conclusion. It got to the point where people were just asking for abridged versions. You know, here we go, here's the hour version. And then here is another one. This is 5 minutes 25. This is the abridged version, basically talking about the positives and the negatives of the plane. Now, I just stopped doing these at some point. It was a lot of effort. It wasn't really paying off. So I did shorten my content to around about 25-30 minutes and started talking about different aspects of the game, mechanics, operations, ideas, which I was much more interested in, instead of just individual vehicles, which took way too long to produce because of the amount of information I had to go over. So the fact is, this should show you, this video was from 5 years ago. I haven't changed in those 5 years when it comes to the length of my videos. If not, I've got shorter. And the idea of them being too long, this is just, it's subjective. It really is. Because a lot of, you know, you'll get a set of people who believe the information talked about in that video is not required, and then you'll have a set of people over there who are like, thank God, you know, I got told that information because I didn't know it before. The next thing as well, so this was the video in question that was brought up. As you can see, it was extended to look like it was, you know, 24 hours long, which was quite a good joke, actually. I'd actually, last time people brought this up, I thought about the idea of doing like a 2-hour to 3-hour video of just watching grass grow and then talking about the intricacies of grass. And I think at some point I'm going to do that. Maybe next year. I think it'll be quite fun. Because I know it sounds stupid, but there's a lot to learn about, right? A lot of cool stuff in the world. But the fact is, this video is 27 minutes long, and people are wondering, how can it be 27 minutes long? Well, it's because 22 of those minutes I'm talking about lineups to take in order to get these decals. And I go through each of the lineups, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what they go against, the way to play them, the general play style. And there's a lot to it. Like there's a ton to it that will help the average player get these decals and see them how to get them, at least from my point of view, the best, 100% way of doing it, right? And for me, that is the way to do these authentic decal videos. It's not just about the decals themselves, but I do want to add in more of a history section to them, or at least a little blurb to try and, understand where it comes from. But the main thing is for the individual to be able to understand how to get these in an efficient way. Like that's it. Because some of these are not easy. The Italian one, I still haven't got. I mean, I haven't been trying too much for it, but still, it's not an easy thing to do. So getting some tips and tricks and ideas, at least from a person who does these authentic decals every time they come around, it may help a bunch of people. The next one is the voice not correct, upper class twat. So I get this a lot, and something that I struggled with when I first came to Canada. So if you don't know, I'm from Yorkshire. And in Yorkshire, if you talk to anyone from Yorkshire, you'll see that they sound different to me, right? And if you get me drinking, or if you get me talking to my dad, or if you get me, talking to one of my mates from Yorkshire, you'll see that I'll start putting in words or changing inflections on my accent because that's how I normally talk. But the thing is, when I came to university, in Canada, I had a real issue with people understanding what I was saying. Now, this was because of slang from where I was from in Yorkshire, and also down to the fact of my accent. So what I did was a straight half a year was try and talk like an accent which I think people would understand. Now, I'm hoping that nowadays people can appreciate the fact that the accent that I've kind of crafted in a weird way is easy to understand. Yes, it's boring. I'll definitely give you that, but at least it's easy to understand. You can follow exactly what I'm saying most of the time, and it isn't Yorkshire dialect. Like, if just go listen to a Yorkshireman speak, and you'll understand why that would have been an issue for a lot of people who, were born and bred in Canada. So I had to change it. Now, also because the job that I got into after university, it required a lot of public speaking, right? It required a lot of talking to rooms, making sure that people understood what I was saying. So one of the things I also tried to push for, because I wasn't too confident at the time, was to try and make sure that I had a stable accent that everybody, wherever they were from, could understand. And that's what I did. That's why I created this accent. No, it isn't my natural accent. This is an accent that technically I do put on. Not just for YouTube, but also for Discord and a lot of the other parts of my life. The only people right now who really hear what I actually sound like are my dad, my wife, and some family members and friends. And it's just how it is. If you ever go to a place, like let's say if you go to South Africa, right, if you're from America, or let's say you go to Mexico if you're from America, and you're from a place and you go there, and around you people are still speaking English, but they don't understand what you're saying, it can be incredibly disheartening. I've met a lot of Australians who have had similar experiences in Canada, where they've had to change slight inflections on words or just change using specific words, because it is very annoying having people always ask constantly what you're saying. And it is how it is. I don't know how else to put it. So if I sound upper class, I don't think I sound upper class. I've met a lot of upper class people from England. They don't sound like this at all. They normally have incredibly higher inflections, and also they talk a lot faster than I do. Because once again, I slow down my talking to make sure that people understand what I'm saying, because there are a lot of people who watch the videos who are not native English speakers. Right? You can always speed up the videos if you think it's slower, but an individual who is non-native English speaking, but they want to understand what's going on, those individuals, that's why I slow down my voice, and YouTube is much more kinder to speed up a video than it is to slow it down. So the next point is Gaijin paid shield bootlicker humiliated himself by trying to defend the 50k plus repair costs by essentially saying don't die. Now this is why I hate short videos. This is why I hate TLDRs, because they don't give any of the context, and they basically make it so you can just create any stick that you want to beat people with. So let's give some context to these thoughts. This is the economy changes, and let's see, this was this. So we got a bunch of economy changes. This was on the 11th of June 2019, so about a month and a half ago. This is what it's being referenced, and there was a bunch of changes, not just for RP costs, but for SL costs, and also mainly repair costs. And the repair costs themselves, some of them were quite brutal, to be honest. And I even said at the time, it may be worth getting a human element in to have a look at some of these repair costs, because they're kind of getting out of hand. But I still understand why they exist. Isn't that a weird concept to think about? So what I saw after this video, and also after the repair cost changes, The first thing that happened was instead of looking at, the majority of stuff either going up or down, everybody focused really hard on the Otsu, the A6M5, and how that thing had gone crazy up in repair cost and other things hadn't. And I just wanted, and there was a lot of there was a lot of people saying, how do you make money in this thing? Is it possible? Have they made it impossible to make money? Why is this thing's repair cost so high? So I made this video, proving a point about the A6M5 Otsu. Now I'm sure the title itself probably annoyed a lot of people, right? And that is just kind of how it is. So, the title is there just to try and directly say what the video is about. I try and make my titles as direct as possible so they're easy to understand. Sometimes they come across as crass. Okay, we can definitely have a discussion about that. But for me, it is much, even if they come across as a little bit crass, I would rather them come across as crass instead of clickbait or indirect from what I'm actually talking about. So the point in this video was to play 12 matches in a day and show how you could easily make money in this machine. You can easily go from stock to spaded in the A6M5 Otsu in the amount of matches that I was able to pull out today with the amount of kills that I was able to do. And you can see that I made around 200,000 Silver Lions, and that was after free repairs plus all of the deaths that happened. Now, this is not me trying to say that I'm a good pilot. This is not me trying to flex on dem kids. This is me just showing that even with an insane repair cost, you can see that people can still make Silver Lions in this. That was the whole point of the video. It wasn't justifying the repair cost. It wasn't saying that it should be that high. It was showing that it could be done. And this, I think, is the fundamental problem that a lot of people have. If I am discussing an issue, and I'm talking about the positives and negatives, and I'm talking about the left side and the right side of it, that doesn't mean that I agree with the issue. I've had a lot of people, especially on the Tech Hub, I've had some wonderful discussions with people where they've said, well, I thought you thought this about this. And then I go, well, where'd you get that from? And they say, well, in this video, you discussed this point. Well, yes, I did. That doesn't mean I believe it. If you want to ask my raw opinions on things, it's much better just to come to me and ask for them. Because there are three different modes, right? So, I can definitely say this is something that I think I need to get better at, to distinguish between these. I've actually talked about this before, and I definitely think I still need to work on this when it comes to my delivery. So you've got the devil's advocate position, which is basically arguing against what you believe is true and trying to come up with reasons why that side is correct. This is one of the most important positions when it comes to thinking about things, because you need to make sure to know the other side of the argument. Otherwise, they can just throw stuff at you and you will have no idea how to answer it. Then you've got the my opinion part of things, which is generally when I say I believe or my opinion is blah, blah, blah. And then you have the why I think stuff happens part, which is generally in the form of I can see Gaijin doing this because of this. So you have the devil's advocate position, then you have the I actually believe this part, and then you have the this is why this is happening. I'd just like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, John Ryman, Martinez, Moxie, Alobralo, Super Cacti, Grisvolk, E-Love Goat, and Seductive Trash Can for supporting the channel.